I'd like to welcome everyone to our first webinar in the TEch Series. This is the first webinar in our brand new tech webinar series. To be played out the first of each month, guests will be from Ireland and further afield. I'd like to welcome two very special guests, Mark Lawlor, CTO, and Mark Rodriguez, lead architect in dataACS. So I don't know, there's a bit of an echo on my side, so I hope if you can comment in the chat if that's come through. But I'll kick off with a quick question for Mark. What effects have you seen, Mark Lawlor, what effects have you seen in the tech industry in Ireland?
In the tech industry, we've, over the last couple of weeks, well, since COVID-19, we've actually seen a number of changes. A lot more focuses on publishing of web apps. Companies are looking at the cloud more extensively than they did in the past. We've got different technologies like, we've had a couple of companies say looking at their development environment. They moved it straight out to the cloud, solely that they can accommodate all of their staff, the developers working remotely. So there's been a ripple of changes, is the best description. There wasn't one that I could say, oh, perfect. Somebody's mic. We've also found there's been a lot of emphasis on security. A lot of companies are going, well, my staff are working remotely. They're working on home PCs or their some business laptops. How are they going to manage security? So they're the ripples we found. And they're changing. They've changed in the last, I'd say the last couple of weeks now. They're starting to change from, I've got my staff now working from home. How am I going to manage my R&D? How am I going to manage my DR? Can I consolidate that? A number of different effects that the COVID-19 has had on businesses. That would be kind of a quick overview. The principal one I've found is cloud. A lot of companies are moving to the cloud. Get rid of the dependency on on-prem device systems. The second element is looking at going to manage the digital side of their environment. Are they going to keep that within the same cloud environment, or are they going to push that out into, say, AWS, Azure, or IBM? And how do they actually utilize that to the fullest? And I've noticed a lot more companies are looking at AWS and IBM, and they're saying, I'll move out my development into those environments. So, Mark, I'll pass it over that way.
Yeah. So, pretty much have noticed a lot of similar things as Mark said. One of the big things I'm seeing too is, and I've read a lot of articles on this, is moving your workforce virtually, to the virtual world. So I don't know if anybody saw the New York Times article where Twitter announced that they were going to allow their employees to, for life now, permanently work remotely. And then the follow-up article, probably a week and a half later, where the Microsoft CEO said, hey, working remotely all the time is probably bad. So, this period has been transitional, I think, for a lot of people in ways that we didn't see before. Working remote is difficult. Anybody who's done it for a long time can tell you, you need to be very structured in the way that you work. It's very easy to start sitting at your desk at 7 in the morning and not finish till 8 p.m. at night, and that's not healthy. It's not good. It's not good for kind of normal lifestyle. I've done it for almost 10 years, and have struggled with work-life balance because of working remotely. So that's probably something we'll need to look at, kind of from a business and society standpoint. The other thing too is, as Mark said, security. Everyone saw online, right, the big scandals with Zoom, where people were hacking into Zoom meetings. And and participating in what would be considered confidential meetings, business meetings. So that kind of made Zoom kind of look at their infrastructure a little differently. I have friends who work in telecom. They basically spent the entire COVID process here in Spain just laying new cable. And we're not talking about, 10, 100 gigabit lines. They were laying down 10, 20 terabit lines just to cover all the infrastructure required. So, this has taken a lot of, I think it's affected a lot of good change within IT. Mark, you yourself, you're being a CTO, your big stamp on your own firm is BCP, right? This is probably the single largest international BCP test there has ever been.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, that's a funny thing. That's a fun thing you said that, Mark, because we've got clients that are actually amalgamating their BCP budget into their operations budget. And if now it's gone. It's not. Have one insurance company here. I've just finished the business continuity planning and environment. COVID-19 hits.
Yep.
They don't use it, and they're using published apps. And the BCP is saying, we need to rethink this. And now they're going to amalgamate that fund into the cost of that operation into their daily operations.
I think this has actually shown the real need to have a BCP process. I remember several firms that I've worked at, that BCP notebook is this dusty thing sitting on a shelf in a closet somewhere next to a broom. Nobody ever looks at it. You just get tested on it once a year. And if you fail 70% of it, they still pass you as a firm. I think now that's going to become even more important to make sure that these things are tested properly and that they're vetted appropriately as well.
Good.
I'm hoping my tech issues have been sorted now. There was a horrible echo. I was hearing myself, and I don't like the sound of myself. So it was blaring into my ears, but I think we've got it sorted. So I meant to say, anyone who has any questions, there's an ask a question button. Please just pop it in there, and I can put it to the guys at the end, and we can answer them for you. So I suppose moving on from that, I know you touched on a little bit. What do you see, Mark Lawlor, to yourself? What do you see changing within the IT industry?
That's $1 million question. Okay, if I knew that, I'd be Bill Gates. What I do see changing is software as a service. Those cloud services will expand more. Security is the number one, I think, that will jump forward. It's been on the peripherals, and I do believe it'll jump forward in the next 6 to 8 months. But generally, I don't see a massive sudden change in the IT industry. I do see it moving steadily along, taking different directions. As cloud will become more prominent. You have to remember, in Ireland, 70% of the businesses here are small to medium. Cloud's an expensive venture to go into because you don't get your return back for 5 years. Security appliances they come at different levels, that all costs. So there is a change in the IT industry, but it'll be a slow measured. And I do believe also with budgets and the cost of the COVID-19, you'll find a lot more analysis of what options are available. Now, from the seller's perspective, we're noticing more of our clients coming to us from security products and services. Outsourcing. We've now more clients coming saying we'd like to outsource more elements of our business. Because in-house, in the event that they have to do this again, in-house IT are not actually a viable option anymore. Not viable, but how can you put 4 guys into an IT room fixing systems? You've got restrictions of 2 meters. How do you manage your IT? You can do so much from external. Switch goes down. You've got problems with your VPN networks. What I have noticed as well is VPNs are a lot of clients are saying, I don't want to use VPNs. I want to use published apps. So little things like this have come. You have to remember, it's only 10 weeks, 12 weeks. And the world is besides the acquisition of portable devices, the approach has changed, but the service hasn't yet. It's slowly moving behind the approach, which, as I say, is published apps, it's less VPNs, it's remote working, it's flexible for, as Mark said, allowed my team to be able to work all the hours that they can with no restrictions. And then obviously the security on top of that. So kind of the synopsis of that is the traditional desktop components, they'll remain. Clients will start revisiting their budgets. They'll have a look at more applications, or are looking at more applications that are suited to remote working, or services like applications as a service in the cloud that would provide them with better flexibility. So that's what we're seeing. Okay. I'm back over to that side, which is Mark. I'll let him know what he sees.
Yeah, this has been kind of a COVID-19, aside from it being a terrible disease that's afflicted a lot of people around the world and unfortunately killed many of them. I think it's really opened the eyes to IT industry at this moment. It's shown us not only the kind of the gaping holes within our IT kind of setup, but also it's shown us a lot of opportunity. So I think we've seen a lot of issues early on. I don't know if anyone remembers around early March when countries started to lock down, but we had collaboration software like Teams that was going down on like a daily basis because it was just overloaded, right? And Microsoft kind of aired the dirty laundry that Teams actually goes through central servers at Microsoft. I think Microsoft has put out a fix for that, and now it's generally separated, or at least they've added infrastructure to support kind of the volume of people that they have using it on a daily basis. It's gotten much better. Slackware, same thing. Just issues galore. But I think it's shown a lot of opportunity for using. I think it's really shown how much Slackware, things like Slackware and Teams and Google Docs, are just really, really important to running your business on a day-to-day basis, and how they do enable your workforce to be completely remote. If I wanted to say what's going to be the next big thing in tech, it'll probably be things that are going to enable your workforce to be remote 100% of the time. Things like not only software as a service, but platforms as a service. I don't know if anyone's taken a look, but AWS isn't really software as a service; it's a platform as a service. You use what you need. Oracle's cloud can be software as a service with their HR and accounting modules, to really just running an Oracle database in the cloud. These platforms that we traditionally maintain inside the four walls of our own data centers are going to move remote. And as Mark pointed out, we're going to be, traditional IT of being a database administrator is going to get centralized into one corporation or another. System administration, it's going to allow IT to really focus on the big thing, on the bigger pictures, of enabling their business to do what they need to do at the right place at the right time, which is where, things like microservices architectures come into play. So you have MuleSoft out there in the world, deploying kind of API-led connectivity to make sure that applications can speak the same language across the enterprise. You may be running 600 different things, 600 different applications within your enterprise. Any 10 of them may do the same exact thing for different business units. How do you make them all talk the same? This is where I kind of see things kind of going towards is no more homogenization by company. So not everybody's going to go full Microsoft, not everybody's going to go full Oracle. It's just homogenization of the data at the data layers across the board. And how do we use that to then enable our workforce to be more agile in how they work and where they work from?
I've noticed as well I've used MuleSoft, and it's a fantastic product. It has the ability to do multi-cloud API across multiple clouds. Products like Autotask Workplace. So we're talking about products that will have an element of security to enhance and promote working remotely. A lot of the products out there people have to be careful of. Teams. We talked about security. Mark referenced security with Zoom. He referenced security with, or I've referenced security within organizations. Products that companies select have to have the decent, I would call it a minimum standard of security.
Yep.
For past workplace, you've got encryption built in, you can send out URLs, so you can provision passwords just to access a document. So that product suits quite a lot of businesses.
And even looking at the underlying encryption systems too, right? I don't know if anybody noticed over the last few months, but probably the predominant encryption algorithm on the marketplace, AES, was shown to be faulty and actually hackable. So somebody had come up with an algorithm to actually crack AES encryption. So we as consumers of these algorithms also need to become a little more savvy in what we're using for security.
And you've obviously mentioned a few companies there. Microsoft had a bit of trouble with Teams and so on. Is there, like, I've seen on my side from the recruitment side of things, you see medical companies are obviously thriving, especially the ones that are coming up with the any sort of medicines to do with it, or vaccines. Is there companies you think, or you've seen in your industry, that you think will thrive throughout it? Maybe throw it to Mark Rodriguez there first. Anything that you'll see thrive particularly?
Oh yeah, I mean, online, digital online selling companies, people that sell stuff online, especially services that you can buy online. I mean, they're just gonna, I think they're gonna do really, really, really well beyond this COVID-19 thing. I also think, not for nothing, I also think small mom and pop shops are going to thrive. I think the big losers out of COVID-19 are going to be major corporations. I think a lot of people really feel that small business took a real beating during the COVID-19 process, but you saw a lot of them, especially here in Spain, that went the extra mile to deliver to their customers. They kept their doors open and they said, look, just call us and we'll deliver right to your door, whatever you need. And you're still seeing it now. They still do that kind of, they still give you that kind of service.
I'd agree with that. My wife and my daughters have made sure that UPS and all those delivery companies are well fed, because they've shopped like you could not believe online. I'll take what Mark said, and I agree with you. So the ones I see as the biggest winners will be the cloud solution providers that can cater for all a client's needs. So IBM, AWS, not as much. So I'd say IBM and Azure. That would be my two that I would say will expand. AWS, Mark is 100% right, it's a platform. Now, if I'm going to move, and I'm going to consider moving my environment from on-prem, I want to be able to control it right down to the disk. I have to start really being clever. Mark's also right, we're going to have multiple cloud offerings. I won't be sticking with all my eggs in one basket for AWS or Azure or IBM or Oracle. I'm going to distribute this out. The big ones, in my mind, will be the cloud providers. I have to disagree with Mark, even though he's in Barcelona. I don't see the smaller entity. I think they're going to struggle. This is now related to Ireland. I think the small provider, let's say the shops, retail, small independent retail chains are going to suffer badly. I see them getting knocked out, which is unfortunate, because they're the ones, as Mark rightly said, they're the ones who are trying to service their customers. What I do see is mid-market companies that have got the ability to change their business style will be successful. They'll come out the winners. So companies that have the ability to change the way they do business quickly, not necessarily all physical bound, but both from their personnel and the way they provide the service, I think they will survive. I'm hoping all the companies will survive and thrive on. But I do see an impact. I don't believe it's going to be as bad as our financial experts are saying. God, if you read their reports, were bankrupt. we're going backwards, and the Stone Age is coming around the corner. All my clients, I have one client that's Dublin Zoo. You've probably seen the announcements. They're open. They're the type of companies that will be just rethinking the way they do business. And once they can provide that to the clients and customers, I think it's nearly booked at this stage. Dublin Zoo is nearly booked. They'll survive. You'll probably see the same, Mark, in Spain. You'll probably see exactly that same. Create ability to get to the market.
Yep. Absolutely, 100%.
And how do you find, on maybe a separate topic, how are you finding, because I know you both obviously do a bit of managing of staff and that's happening. I know, Mark Rodriguez, you are used to this kind of remote model, but actually managing the IT personnel during this, how are you finding that? Maybe throw it yourself, Mark Lawlor, first.
Oh, shit. You said me first. Sorry. Look, we've got a team of about 15 guys. They work remote. We've got our team are based from the southeast into the Midlands. We use Teams, we use Slack. So we've also got everything, all our products are cloud-based. So the only kind of, I will say, problem we've had is in that building laptops, none of that was a problem from the engineers remotely, but it's accepting product in. It's communicating with the client. We found that it's very difficult because everyone was learning how to use remote working. That meetings were difficult to arrange and attend, and you know that your logistics of your own day was difficult. But once people got into it, they found it quite easy to adapt. Now I've got the guys saying to me, "Can we come back to the office? I can't take 6 months, 3 months with the mother-in-law or the wife." I found that the team have worked longer. That they're quicker to respond now once they learned how to actually manage their own time. And as Mark pointed out earlier, you know, they are starting at 8 and they are finishing at 8 o'clock. So management of them from a daily basis, we use a group chat. We do a lot more phone calls. We're more attentive to if the guys need some childminding services, you know, that element there. Their work-life balance. And funny enough, it's only a couple of weeks have we started to focus on the work-life balance because everything was reactive beforehand. It was just keeping the business going, making sure our clients were able to conduct business. So that element has now come into play. And it's working out okay. Lessons learned. Don't give in to the engineers when they want time off. You know, we have a big list of it. I've learned how to communicate better with the team on their personal needs rather than from the business needs. So I've taken that away as a major fact. Okay.
Oh,
yourself, Mark Rodriguez.
Well, it's funny you asked me that because I've been I was a consulting manager for a large firm for almost 10 years. So I managed consultants. So I always managed remote. I never managed anybody face to face. I did a road tour twice a year where I saw everybody, and that was it. That was their 2 times they got to see my face every year. So a lot of what Mark Lawlor said, a lot of it was tapering back a little bit expectations on their end in terms of how much they had to work every day. So I didn't like people working 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. every day. So I had to tell them, just stop at 6:30, just be done. Start at 9, finish at 6:30, put your hours in and be done with it. If you can't get it done in one day, something is wrong on the planning end, not on your end. So, a lot of it was managing that side of it to show people that we weren't superhuman, that we couldn't do 85 things at once, that we need to plan better to get to accomplish our tasks and make sure that people were having a proper work-life balance, which is normal for any job. But when you're going into an office every day, it's a lot easier to, look around and you see everyone leaving and you go, oh yeah, maybe I should leave too. But when you're sitting at home and, you're having your lunch and kind of plugging away on the computer, it's easy to kind of sit there 12 hours a day and not really notice. You know, oh, I'll take that extra email. I'll take that extra call. Let me just go check in after dinner to make sure everything's running okay. You know, and I think it's something as managers we need to tell people, you know, turn it off at some time. Make sure you spend time with your family. Make sure you take care of your things at home. You know, we work to live, we don't live to work, kind of thing.
I think the biggest learning I've had is a lot of consultants that work under myself crave structure, and not having that structure to kind of go, right, 10 o'clock we speak to our clients, you know, 11 o'clock we speak to about this role, and actually having to implement that themselves in an environment where they have kids coming in, or they have you know, as I said, their wife or husband coming in asking them, have you done the shopping? You know, there's all these things that are coming in. It's a crazy, but I think over these 10, 11 weeks now, every week I've noticed it getting better and better, to the point now, as you pointed out, Mark Lawlor, that our productivity is up through the roof. You know, which is amazing. To where we started to where we are now, and I think it's going to be the norm.
But is it realistic to maintain with everybody that will be your productivity going forward? You know what I mean?
Yeah, sure.
That's the problem, right? That's the problem. Now the bar has been raised, and we as managers just need to be prepared for it to come back down.
Yeah.
Yeah, so like Mark's 100% right. That is a big problem now. You know, actually technically the sooner I can get my guys back in the office, the better their work-life balance is. It's not a crazy situation to be in. Because, like, I'm guilty for it. I was working here a couple of nights back, and we had automatic lighting, and the whole place went into darkness because I was working on the laptop, and then I went, what's going on? And then I realized it's 8 o'clock at night. And that stuff happens.
Yep.
He's 100% right. So out of this, I'm hoping that from our side and our clients, I'm hoping that the balance between, and I do believe there will be a balance between, yes, just flexible. You can work from home. We know that the system works. We know that you can engage. The life balance will be a lot more to the business needs. I'd say that some of my sales teams and engineers will have the flexibility that if they need to work from home for a couple of days during the week, over the summer or later on, that becomes the norm, which is fantastic.
That was my next point. Is this, you know, for major corporations or even mid-sized corporations, small business, it's offering that flexibility to their associates, because they've seen that their workforce can be effective remotely on a regular basis, and we as managers don't need to be the overseers in the field of our serfs, as it were. You know, they can do the job remotely, they can do it effectively, and can remain productive. So maybe as managers, we can now propose to leadership to say, hey, look, why don't we make this a permanent thing to offer flex schedule, so to speak. You want to work from home, work from home. You don't need to tell me, just do it. You know, you know, as long as you get your tasks, the things you need to get done, and I see on status reports that things are getting done. I don't, you know, it doesn't really. It's not. You know, it's not an issue, right?
It's not important where you get the work done, as long as.
And then from a side benefit from that is, you know, you can kind of turn offices smaller, right? You don't need to have large capital expense. You know, you can have telecommuting stations, what we call from consulting services telecommuting stations.
I hope no one from WeWork or Regis is on listening to this call, because you're doing them out of business.
Not for nothing. Outsourcing office space is a great idea.
Yeah. I'm working on a client.
I know Pepsi does it.
Yeah. I've actually got a client, and Mark's right. I've got a client that's building a new office, and they've just recommenced construction phase. And part of the original scope was phone system. You know, be it the PBX be in the cloud or be it on-prem, but there was a phone, there was a physical device, there was an ownership of a table.
Yep.
Now that's gone. Now we're going to have a media capability, be it Zoom, Teams, whatever, Starleaf, whatever the product is. There won't be an associated, I sit at this table. there's flexi work. So they redesigned the concept for that before they finished the fit out of the building.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see it. Yeah, I say those ripples are starting to come apparent. So yeah, it's new way of managing. Now there is a negative. It all sounds positive. There's a negative. So I've got software developers. I've got normally I would have a stand-up. I would do a scrum session. I would chat to them about how the code is going. That's quite difficult to do that across Teams or Zoom. The tooling is there. You know, you've got Confluence, you've got Jira, you've got loads of different products that will support that. But that interaction with developers, and that side is more difficult. From the project delivery, from the project management, dashboards, that needs to be in place. So you can't just kind of go, oh, great, I'm going to walk out, I'm going to work from home. The company has to invest into the environment that will support remote working as seamlessly as we're having the chat here. And that's expensive. So, that's the negative. If the company isn't prepared for it, you're going to find that it'll be a failure, basically.
Yeah, and as a corollary to what you said, right, we talked about it before, the New York Times article from the CEO of Microsoft. He said, working from home 100% of the time is a very bad idea. Yeah. You may accomplish more face-to-face with a person in 5 minutes than you can in a 1 hour conference call. Yeah. Just looking at somebody's eyes and working with them.
They haven't done that work a lot, or they're pretending to be sick.
But that's what I'm saying, like a flexi schedule, right? Where you can say, hey, look, it's not 100% work remote, but if you want to work from home 2-3 days a week, go for it. And we as managers just need to be prepared to manage that, because as you say, there can be significant drawbacks, right? People taking advantage of the system. So we want to make sure that we're getting, how do we, I guess our measure for success and how our people we manage are working needs to change, right? Our KPIs.
Yeah.
And
obviously you're both young men, so it wasn't that long ago. As a grad, if you were to give advice, if a grad came to you, coming out of 22 years of age, they've done a computer science degree, or what would you recommend they get into? Obviously taking into account what we've learned during COVID. Maybe Mark Lawlor, throw it up first.
Oh, really? Back to me first again. Always me. Well, so I can't give you what a grad should do because of COVID. I'll give you an answer of what a grad should do considering the career path going forward. So there's obviously a grad should have an understanding of multiple disciplines. So the cloud, don't have to be an expert, but there is gaps. So if I deal with developers who don't understand the cloud, I deal with infrastructure guys who don't understand developers. So my advice would be to focus on multiple streams over the initial or just after you've graduated. So look for places that will expose you to cloud development, security, API environments, because API environments or developing APIs like MuleSoft, like the IBM's API capability services, these are going to become major elements.
Are you seeing more companies, Mark, on your side with .NET, Java, Python? Is there any of them that are
Python is huge. .NET will jump in behind that. Python is one of the principal ones that I see, and we use it here. So Kubernetes, those environments on the platform side, they'll get an exposure if they have an exposure to the cloud. So before an individual, it's like anything. Before you decide to focus on an element of your career, you should understand or have at least a touch of the different elements. You may elect to. You might find security is more appealing. So some grads who are probably listening, don't focus on one. Over the first couple of years, expose yourself to a lot of different disciplines. Analytics, security, cloud, Obviously, you'll have a fundamental on database design or databases and coding. And then expand that. Then after that point, after a couple of years, then decide to go forward. But it'll round you as a developer, it'll round you as a security consultant, and you the basics, the ground knowledge. So that's my advice to grads. And thank you for the compliment of being young.
Yeah, you're well. Anytime, Mark. Anytime. Mark Rodriguez, same question.
Yeah, I think Mark hit it right on the head. It's not always learning about learning a specific package. It's about learning what that package contributes to. So, analytics, for example, analytics is going to be comprised of many things. There's going to be some sort of middle layer of business logic. There's going to be somewhere to persist the data. You should try to learn as much as you can about each of those parts. Who makes offerings in these areas? For analytics. So Azure, for example, uses SQL Server on the back end. They use blob storage and other things to persist other messages and whatnot that are sent back and forth. And you have APIs kind of at the front end that are going to do the processing of the data with logic built in. So it is. I think one of the things that I always tell people that I work with that are coming out of university is learn how to think. Don't just learn how to read a manual and go through the steps. Learn how to think critically. What does each step mean? What does it mean that you have to do this? What does that exactly entail? To just use the tools that are at your disposal most effectively. And this is what the broad-based learning that Mark kind of put out there is the ideal situation. I think it's tough for a university grad to grasp that initially, but you got to start small and work your way up. Pick a topic, pick a specific focus area, and learn the bits and pieces. There should be no more than 3 to 4 parts to it. Learn those exceptionally well, and then start branching out into a wider scope.
100%.
Now, I'd also like to add to that. I'd love to see developers or grads, learn project management skills. I know that might kind of come across a bit ridiculous, but it's not that they'll ever have to use them, but they'll understand. Well, I hope maybe they would if in time. But to understand the process of a project, the delivery of something like that, the elements in behind. It's not just their component. There's a big team in the background. If I go away, everybody would be a PM before they got out of college. Don't start laughing.
If this was like a wish list of what I wanted the perfect university grad to be, critical thinking skills, effective communication, deference, right, to others. That would be kind of like the top 3, I think, on my wish list for university grad. But I think critical thinking skills and communication will always be at the forefront. If you can't do those 2 things, you can't do anything we just said, right? You can't learn project management. You can't learn all the bits and bobs of different platforms. You can't work within a team.
And is there anything you would recommend, any tools you'd recommend to developers or any across the board in IT to learn these type of things?
Well, that's actually your job, really.
Yeah.
So different companies will have allow different exposure, and I'm not saying that people have to move, but if you look at analytics, I've got a grad that's gone through, is just finishing a master's in analytics, but he needs to be exposed to other elements. So it's my job to give him that exposure. If I can't, he needs to look somewhere else. So that's where FRS would come in.
Yeah.
No, there's no tools. There's programs and there's college degrees, there's certification, but there's no tools to give what Mark and I've just said.
Well, I know obviously because you see quite a lot of PHP developers, open source, who go try and gain their experience online and become a freelancer and kind of build into it that way. But the best ones I've seen are the ones, as you said, who join the correct company and work after hours with the other teams within the company and learn the technologies and become better within that, and then try to make an internal transfer and go across. They're the ones that I see as the quickest success to move up the ladder in the technology they want to use in.
Yeah, but I mean, so, I hear that, right? Like they kind of focus in on a specific package or what may be. At this point, I've been doing this over 20 years. And I've been product development, I've been a systems administrator, I've been a database administrator. I've worked as a consultant for a long time. Been kind of done a bit everything. And not for nothing, I look at PHP, I look at C++, I look at Java, I look at PL SQL. The rudiments are all about the same. What do they call it? They're all similar, right? A map is a map is a map.
Mm-hmm.
C# has a way of implementing a map. Java has a way of implementing a map. Python has a way of implementing a map. PHP has a way of implementing a map. We all know what a map is, but how to use it effectively within your code, that's up to the developer. So learning development languages to me is like, it's learning a dialect of, say, American English. There's not much difference between them. Maybe there's some slight variance in colloquialisms, right? But that's about it. That stuff's never interested me. Learning how to develop is completely different. Learning the paradigms that you're going to be working through, right? What do they call it? What do they call it now in the microservices world? They call them, it starts with a P again. I'll think of it eventually. My brain is kind of shut down, too much coffee. But, learning the patterns, that's the word I was looking for, the patterns and how those patterns interact. I think that's the more important part. High level courses will give you some basis in that. And then implementing it should be kind of secondary.
Yeah, I'm going to go with that. I also, as I said earlier, COVID-19, developers work really good together. A fluid environment between multiple developers enhances it. If a young developer comes in, a grad comes in, and he's in a team that have got maturity within that field, he'll learn and grow. Then there's companies have decentralized. You're a developer, you're a database, you're this. The lines have gone blurred. I have a couple of projects where there used to be definition between this was my role, this is what I learned, but now that's all gone. Okay, so there's a lot more fluidity between the different disciplines. So again, it's the individual have to make a decision on where they would like, as Mark said, where they'd like to step off and step into. If they felt really comfortable that they enjoyed developing, or they enjoyed analytics within the course, or the project management, or whatever was in the modules that they actually were learning, and they had interest. And the key here is the interest and enjoyed it. God knows there's elements of my course I used to hate, business management. I'd rather throw myself off the fourth floor of the building than have to have. So if they find an element to go, you know what, I really enjoyed this piece, this made me get up in the morning. That's what they go to. They talk to yourselves, you place them. They'll develop. They won't know much, but they'll be seasoned, and there'll be a dynamic team, fluid learning, fluid transfer of knowledge. They'll grow. And then once they grow, they'll learn from that, and they'll grow again on a different, as we said, looking at different elements, and then they become more rounded and they get more exposure, and the career is taken off.
100%. And tell me, Mark Rodriguez, tell me what's something that dataACS are doing, obviously trying to think ahead of how this virus has affected us and maybe slowed it down the industry in some ways. Tell me something about maybe dataACS are doing to combat it.
To combat or to come back?
Oh no, sorry, to combat it, as in move forward, or something innovative that you're trying to do.
So we've basically taken all of our people and we've just said 100% remote time, and we've worked with all our customers to ensure that. I mean, we're all consultants anyway, so it really wasn't that tough a sell to say, hey, you don't have to pay $1,000 a week for us to be on site. That really didn't get us a lot. No, nobody was complaining.
Yeah.
But we did make the opportunity occur, make sure that everybody kind of has 100% remote time for now during the COVID process, and only when they're comfortable to come back will we start proposing it to customers that they can come back to being fully travel available.
Brilliant. So. And Mark Lawlor?
We've had a bit different. Obviously, our staff and our clients. So some of our clients had to shut down, close their business. Some are in distribution, medical, financial, and so forth. So what we've helped them do is access their systems via URL based, or we've given them a BC, business continuity, or DOR, or a remote working environment. So kind of key. We've promoted them into multiple clouds. I'm just thinking one or two of the actual clients themselves that we're starting to progress on. So as I said in the past, what we're providing is multiple cloud capability. The usual platform as a service, DOR as a service. I've got applications as a service. We've literally provided the whole cloud environment. Now we use IBM, and specifically for that is that clients are coming back saying we've moved into the IBM, we haven't really used it or we've moved into the AWS and Azure, and my bill is going that direction, especially since COVID-19. I'm doing a lot of data transfer between sites and so forth, and I'm pulling archival information out for analytics. While the IBM model is slightly different, where I can tailor it. Now, that said, it's not the only cloud vendor we use. We also use cloud services by other parties that we find are becoming more like Autotask, workplace elements like that. We're modifying. Actually, it'd be safe to say that we're migrating clients into the cloud, not from the short-term perspective, but from the long-term. A different strategy with them now. It used to be a 3-year strategy whereby clients would look at a 3-year investment, and now we're saying to them, look at this at a 6 to 8-year investment, because that's where you'll start making your financials returns. So from DNA's perspective, we're helping our customers through the journey of moving into the cloud services and all that entails. I should have said that. Actually, no, really, it would have made life a lot easier.
We got there. Thanks a million, guys. That's brilliant. So that's all the questions I have. I see a lot of chat here. I'm seeing a lot of locations: Dublin, Donegal, Cork, Limerick, South Africa.
Yeah, I was thinking, should we try answering some of the questions that people have posted?
Yeah, absolutely. So we'll jump into that. So, question here from Maria Weaver. Do you think that companies will further implement AI technology as a result of COVID-19?
Oh yeah, absolutely. We're already seeing it. Supply chains are already moving to autonomous supply chain, right? That's one of my big customers now does that. They're moderately at the forefront of actually developing that. So yeah, you will see that a lot more. You're seeing it with Tesla now with the autonomous driving vehicles. You're seeing it with software and supply chain. Autonomous supply chains. We'll probably see it more and more. Will people ever be fully replaced? Probably not. As Microsoft showed with their failed bot exercise, Twitter bot, that became an aggressive racist within one day.
Don't be mean to Microsoft. Stop that now.
If you've never seen it, look it up. It's quite an amusing story, but Microsoft had a bit of a failure. But they learned a lot from it. But will we ever be replaced 100%? No. But are we going to see an increase in AI? Absolutely, especially with data analytics.
So I'm finding that as well in the security. So the concept of security used to be edge and endpoint protection. Now we've got products that will look at the security, your environment as a whole. They've got AI engines that will analyze not only just the packet data that's transferring across, but application access, application reactions. So becoming more and more prevalent. They go in then to sandboxes to do replication of events before they'll take action. So AI is becoming a major component within the security element. Started to launch that here as well. So that's actually pretty cool.
And they're asking here, do you think that working remotely could get to the point where companies actually reduce their overheads? I know you mentioned it there briefly, Mark Rodriguez, about the $1,000 a month saving of not having on site, but have you seen other areas maybe where that's come in?
Well, I'll take that, sorry. I can only speak about dataACS. Our team, because of the nature of our work, we support more companies, but our team, we won't reduce our footprint. We'll have the same office size. We will have remote working. We will have flexibility within the work-life balance for our teams. How that reflects out to clients, I do think that they will maintain the staff, if that's what the question is trying to get to. I do see consultants and third parties, their roles being slightly different than they were in the past. Now, to remember, DNA, we do help desk, remote management, IT support, and in some cases, we're the IT department. But other consultants, like I'm on a project as a consultant, and I won't visit site. So years ago, 6 months ago, I would have been in the middle of the site having a chat with such colleagues as Mark.
Yeah.
If the question is, will consultants' role change? I believe it will. I believe that there will be less on-site time. I do believe that. But as a staff member or a company, I'd see slight change, but not drastic.
Yeah. And we have a question here from Dave Harlow. How many companies are providing best in-class advice and money on home office setup? Do you have ballpark figures for a home office setup?
Well, look, a home office setup is a very simple thing. It's either your laptop with a decent docking station and a couple of screens. That's it. Your home office is what you want it to be. You can pay a fortune for why? As long as you're sitting correctly, as I slouch over my laptop, sitting correctly, you've got good air, you've got 2 screens with a standard docking station. You'll be fine. That's all you need is a home office. And a lock on the door. That's a very important thing. Whatever room you're in. So, but I want that person to consider that their home office is now part of their office. So remote working, flexibility. So your laptop should be just plug it off to one plug into it, which gives you your working environment, your wireless keyboard, your mouse, and you just walk with it and move. And that's what we've done anyway, okay? So a couple of screens, docking station, you'll be okay.
Yeah, I think the biggest piece of advice I have for people working at home is find a quiet place to work.
Yeah.
If you can't find a quiet place to work, you're going to be distracted all day long. You can't have your desk next to your TV. You can't have it out in a public area, probably, on a window that faces a road. You want to make sure it's nice and quiet and you can concentrate and just focus on what you're doing. After that, I've worked off of a laptop for years. I don't have 2, 3 screens. I don't even have a nice chair. What I do have is a nice quiet place where I can work.
100%.
I use sellotape to sort out any of the noisy kids or the wife. I find that works a treat as well.
She's not listening, obviously, Mark.
No. But Mark is right. A quiet place is very important.
100%. I think the last question is kind of more directed at myself, but by any means, if the two guys want to chime in, our company's waiting to hire after the end of the lockdown pandemic, or are they hiring to work remotely? It's from Edelson. From what I'm seeing, companies, it's a variance. It's very industry specific at the moment, but there is companies who are hiring and onboarding remotely. We're finding now we're getting in the last 2 weeks, we've seen a change in the market. The previous 8 weeks was quiet. A lot more on the contract sphere, on the temp sphere. Permanent recruitment is still about 60 to 70% down on where it was February, March, but it will be. I would envisage somewhere in the realms of kind of middle to end of Q3. We're going to be back, hopefully, in a kind of a 40% down range, where I would hope maybe, as I said, 60% of what was there before will be back. I don't know how you guys see it. Will you guys be recruiting, or will you hope to add to the team maybe this year?
We're not looking to do anything through the end of Q2. Q3, we're looking to start ramping up for new business that'll hopefully hit in Q4.
Yeah, and we're the same. We're very identically the same. So
yeah, I mean, can't do nothing right now. It's summer vacation, right? Yeah. So even though people have had 2 months of sitting at home doing nothing, they're going to take another month and a half of vacation now in July, August. So, there's no stopping that, right?
And we have to also look at the market as well. So Spain may be different than Ireland. It may be faster to move back because of the volume of people, different type of business. Ireland might be sluggish, or we could be ahead of everybody. So one doesn't know. So we're all planning for Q3. See how key period.
So I think from what the guys are saying, it's like, I think use this period as a kind of an upskilling period. To try and be ready for when it could be in a couple of weeks, it could be in a couple of months, but there's a bounce back coming for those who will be looking for a new role. There will be options. I'm very much convinced that.
This is you're talking about upskilling. It's not even about upskilling. It's just staying busy and keeping your mind sharp. You can't get even if you're out of work right now. This is not the time to slack. This is not a vacation. This is the time to be spending 8 hours a day making sure that you're still sharp enough when you go back, that you can hit that ground running and move. If you get too lackadaisical, you might get into bad habits. You can't nap in an office. So, it's good to kind of, when you're unemployed, the best thing to do is run your life like you would when you're working. Make sure you're awake at a decent hour. You do your 8 hours of at least looking for work, or, as you say, upskilling yourself, and then take your free time after that.
100%. Well, thanks a million, guys. Really appreciate the time. I think there was a real worthwhile. There's so much there I've taken from it, and I hope the rest of the onlookers were the same. Just to give you a bit of a background, this is obviously the first webinar we'll be doing in the IT space. We're going to be doing one a month. The next one will be based on women in tech with my colleague Noelle, who will be bringing two guests within the IT space. So looking forward to that, and then we'll be one a month on the first week of every month. But thanks a million to Mark Rodriguez and to Mark Lawlor. Really enjoyed this chat, and look forward to speaking to you both in the future.
Thank you very much.
Likewise, thank you very much. It was an honor. It's a great honor to speak to all of you.
Brilliant, and thanks all for listening.
Thank you.